Hey everyone, this is Max at MaxCTCG. Thanks for joining me in another video. In this video, we're going over the new Ashen cards that were revealed for Legacy of Destruction. This is a TCG exclusive getting its second wave, so I'm going to see how good it is. The first wave was solid. When I remember, none of the cards were inherently bad, and has an interesting kind of control mechanic of kind of these warriors that kind of return, alive and battle this dragon. So let's see how it goes. Hopefully it adds more to that first wave to make it more playable. And TCG exclusive archetypes have not been the best. We've had a few that have been okay, like Gold Pride and Plunger Patrol. But we haven't had any real amazing ones in quite a long time. And let's hope so, because the artwork on these cards are really good. Alright, so we have the Ashened, Await at the End of the Fire. Alright, so first two cards are in the image here. Very awesome looking, just like the other sets of cards. So Shaman of the Ashen City and Spearhead of the Ashen City. Alright, so Shaman of the Ashen City, level 4 Dark Pyro Effect monster. Attack 1300, defense 1200. If Obsidian the Ashen City is in the field zone, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Shaman of the Ashen City once per turn this way. You can target 3 of your Pyro monsters that are banished and are in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck. Then, if you shuffled an Ashen monster, you can add 1 Obsidian the Ashen City from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Shaman of the Ashen City once per turn. Right, so for the first monster, it's searchable off a bonfire. Only really extends out if you have the field spell, and the deck does really heavily focus on the field spell. And you could also recurse some cards, and if any of them were an Ashen monster, you get to add the field spell from deck to hand. It's not terrible, but it's pretty slow. Probably the best part about it is that you can extend out with it, and because it's slow and you already have to have recursion, it's not great. I wish it did more than what it does, so maybe a one of just for the extra bodies, but I'm not thinking this card's that amazing. Let's go on to the next one. We have Spearhead of the Ashen City, level 4 Dark Pyro Effect monster, attack 1700, defense 100. If Obsidian the Ashen City is in the field zone, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Spearhead of the Ashen City once per turn this way. If your opponent controls a monster with 2800 or more attack, you contribute this card, then target 1 card your opponent controls, return to the hand. You can only use this effect of Spearhead the Ashen City once per turn. So this one's very similar in terms of that it summons itself out, so ideally easy ways to just kind of swarm the field and beat down your opponent. Again, this card I still feel like isn't that great. So this card is obviously meant to work with Veidos, kind of bringing it back to your hand to kind of use its effect again. I did just double check. The card for Veidos needs to be sent to the graveyard to nuke your opponent's field, not just removed from the field, so this won't trigger it, which I think kind of sucks. And I don't like that you have to tribute this card, target one of your opponent's cards, and then it returns to hand, so you're losing a body if they just negate this, so that sucks. So I think this is a little bit better of a card. You can at least use this to kind of bounce like problematic cards onto the field, and Baron and Savage are both gone, so ideally there aren't going to be as many Omni negates, so at the very least maybe this could remove a problem monster. It's a pretty easy special summon if you have the field spell, so okay, I think it's better than the first one, but not by much. So far not too impressed by these first two main deck monsters. I would like to see a little more. Alright, so we've already seen this fusion. Veidos the Dragon of Endless Darkness, level 10 Dark Pyro Fusion Effect monster, 3000 attack, 1700 defense. The materials are Veidos, the Eruption Dragon of Extinction, plus 2 level 9 or lower Pyro monsters, cannot be destroyed by card effects. Also, your opponent cannot target it with monster effects. If this card is fusion summoned, you can destroy all spell and drag cards your opponent controls. When your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can summon a face of Ashen card you control to the grave, destroy that card. You only use this effect of Veidos, Dragon of Endless Darkness, once per turn. So we talked about this card before, so if you want to see the full in-depth discussion, I'll link that in a card right now. But the kind of basic rundown of it is a super poly target. If you can use your opponent's monsters, it's even better. But the other thing is that because it's level 10, it doesn't actually count itself as a super poly target for this card. I think if you're hard making this, I don't know if it's really worth it, but I don't think it's a bad card. I just don't know how easy it's really going to be for the deck to make, because I don't feel like the deck has the greatest amount of recovery and recursion for kind of getting its cards back. So I feel like you're going to have to commit pretty heavily into making this, unless there's easier ways to use your opponent's monsters. Now you can obviously give your opponent the Veidos and use that, but there's easier ways to pull this off and you're gaining more resources from this, and I think that makes this card better. So I just got to see if there's other ways to do that. Alright, so next card we have Embers of the Ashened, level 8 Dark Pyro Fusion Effect Monster. Attack 2900, defense 2400, materials 2 Pyro. If this card is fusion summoned, you can target one field spell in your grave, add it to your hand. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's pyro monster, you can destroy that opponent's monster, and if it's your turn, this card can make a second attack in a row. You can only use each effect of Embers of Ashen once per turn, so not a terrible card again. You can at least get back your field spell, or potentially other field spells if you're combining them. We did get Chicken Game back, so you can grab that. You already have the field spell for Ashened, any other potential ones that you're looking for, so it's kind of a cool interaction. And it works well with destroying Veidos and then attacking again. So it kind of works with the whole gimmick of the deck. Again, not amazing, but it's kind of just all okay. I don't really feel like a lot of this is amping up the deck. It just kind of feels a similar level to the first wave. And I was really hoping for a little bit more at this point. Let's see what the spells do. So if Rekindling the Ashened quick play spell. Place one of your Ashened cards as banished or in your graveyard on the bottom of your main deck, except Rekindling the Ashened. Then target one effect monster your opponent controls. Negate its effects in its turn. You can only activate one Rekindling the Ashened per turn. So this card's kind of like a Forbidden Chalice, but it needs setup, so that kind of sucks. At the place one of your Ashened cards that's banished in your graves, you already have to have made a play to then negate something, or would you better just to negate it right away? But it is searchable, so that's okay. I mean, I feel like they could have done something to make this a little stronger, but I mean, I like the have a searchable negate, but still, I don't know if this is enough. Ideally with cards like these, you want to be able to use them right away. And I think I actually would have liked this better if it was more worded as like, place one of your Ashen cards on field or something, so maybe you go to activate something, they go to negate, and then you could send it to the grave. That I think would have made it playable, where even if you can't use it right away, you would at least be able to use it in response to something. At this point, you have to wait for it to go to the grave or banished, which I think makes it harder to use. So we have another spell card, Extinguish the Ashened. Normal spell card, send one dark pyro monster from your deck to the grave. Then you can add one level 5 or higher pyro monster from your grave to your hand. For the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, you cannot special summon from the extra deck except pyro monsters. You can banish this card from your grave, fusion summon one pyro monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand, or field as material. So this card's pretty interesting. The fact you get to send a dark pyro from deck to grave and then add a level 5 or higher pyro from your hand. You could potentially send the level 5 or higher and then add it to your hand. That's kind of an interesting way to get a card. The pyro lock from the extra deck kind of sucks because maybe you could have extended into some other cards, but there's not a lot of good pyro extra deck monsters. So you're kind of just forced to play this kind of control aggro beatdown probably, which is the Ashen monsters from the main deck. But still interesting. And then you also get to use it as a fusion. So that's cool as a little bonus effect on top of the searching, which might be interesting. So again, a decent card. I think so far maybe the best card I've read. Still feels a little lackluster. I think the deck kind of needs this lock to be removed to kind of help it a little. So the last card, Ashened to Endlessness. It's not good that the last card's a trap, and I'm hoping that it's good. So Ashen the Endless, continuous trap card. During the main phase, you can fusion summon one pyro fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from either fieldless material, including Veidos, the Eruption Dragon of Extinction, and if you do, it gains 500 attack for each material used. You can banish this card and one dark pyro from your graveyard. All monsters your opponent controls become dark pyro till the end of this turn. So it's cool that you can use monsters from either field, so that's nice. And that you can also turn your opponent's monsters into pyros, potentially again opening up super poly plays more with the first fusion that we've already seen before. So that's kind of interesting. Not bad for a trap card for what it does, and allowing you to kind of like extend out and make better monsters. But I still don't think these are that amazing. Unfortunately, I think this wave of support needed to be really strong because the first wave of support gave a good foundation for some potential. But I'm not seeing a ton out of these cards, and I think they're rather meh. Which is really unfortunate because that means we probably have another really cool looking TCG archetype that's not very good. If I'm missing something in this review, let me know in the comments. I'd like to know if you think there's something I'm missing about why this is really good, but overall, I don't see this deck having a ton of synergy with other decks right now, and it's just seeming a little lackluster. And not the best, unfortunately. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys think, and maybe there's a way that this can get turned around and we don't have to wait on the OCG to get these cards and then actually make the deck good. Everyone, I'll see you guys in the next video.